Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today it's a tactical corner. Today is how to play with British. In front of me you can see a British brigade ready for the game. And let me underline this, ready for the game. It's far to be an historical one. Flags are not correct and the units are not correct. So don't go mad. It's just a few models to show you how to play your British for a casual game. I'm not yet entered in the historical formation because I know I'm reading and British in Peninsula or in the under they fought in different way that they play in the game. Okay, so first of all keep in mind that we are talking about playing casual game, where the aim of the game, fun part, that is the first and most important part of the game, is to have a game, a few hours spent playing with miniatures, and not at the moment to recreate historical battle with correct force, etc. But spend 2 hours with a friend or when I play a solo game with you and have fun with our passion. That say, let me underline that British are probably one of the strongest army, the strongest nation in the game. And one of the reason is for the rule, but the other one is that they can focus against their only enemy, French. Where French need to reason on their list and think about what field in the if they play against Austrian or Russian or British or Spanish or Portuguese. British have one enemy only, and that are the French. Okay, and then I say the rule. The rule, and here comes their army list where the rule are written down. British have one of the strongest rule of the game, which are disciplined musketry, which allow them to reroll 1 when they shoot and reroll 1 in melee. And this is a great ability. For who are used to black powder, you know that the British can counter attack, so they can receive the enemy with a shooting volley and then fight as they are the chargers, so the +1 to hit. There is no stuff like this in Valor and Fortitude, you have just seen, but disciplined musketry is a real strong ability because always allow you to reroll 1 to hit when you shoot or in melee, and sometimes can make the difference, especially when the malus start to mount, such as casualty or weavered status of the unit. You can reroll the missed 1, and this is not bad. For the rest, the rules are the same. What change is a rule for the cavalry at strong, which is unique for the British cavalry. Every kind of cavalry, from Hussars, light dragoon, heavy dragoon, household. Just the detachment I'm not as strong, which is a mixed bag of a rule, because if you win a melee and you have an enemy in a line of sight, your cavalry must charge in. And if you won an easy melee, taking no casualty or few casualty, the subsequent charge could be even devastating. But if your cavalry is battered, well, the next charge could be their last one charge. I know these resemble probably the charge of the Scots Grey at Waterloo, when they charged the artillery, the infantry, and then the artillery, and then were slain by the French lancers. I don't know. I'm not completely fond of this rule, but it's fun. Sometimes works, sometimes it doesn't. And another unicity in the British list is the rocket artillery, which is unique again. 60 inches of range, and the rocket's ability, which mean that you are not forced to shoot at the closest one, but you have -1 to hit. Anyway, isn't a good artillery for the pieces. I've not. They're used during the Waterloo. There are models. I read somewhere that some rockets were used in Spain, but not sure about this, so take it with two large springs of doubt. Okay, this is essentially for the list. The other unicity of the list is the general. Every list have a specialist general. In this case, you have obviously Wellington for 20 points, or Moore for 10 points if you play in the peninsula. Both are good for the peninsula. Moore is not good for Waterloo because it died in the peninsula. I've made some more British officer, as I did for French and for Austrian, to add some flavor, some fluff to my list. You have not seen yet, because I play with few unit on the table, not yet finished to paint all my models, so no large battle for now, but I hope to have completed my two army, British and French, for the new year, at least for the end of the winter, and so probably you will see some of this officer into action. Wellington is a very strong one. I'm going back on his ability later on. Moore is more for aggressive. Wellington is good for defensive. And with this, moving to the real strong point of the British. The real strong point of this army, that they are very, very strong on defense. All of their ability is focused on defense. They are not so keen in attack. They have not special abilities to attack. They are like any other in attack, where French, with their special rule, favored attack over defense. British favored defense over attack. And the rule, the structure of the rule, and their ability put together make the British an hard nut to crack. Let me show you the first three British cards, the cards that change. This one, the scum of the earth, make the enemy 1 point less in morale when they have to take a valor test. Is good in attack, but is good also in defense, even if the attacker is just beaten by fire. The Queen, I use Earth, you can use whatever you want. Queen, defensive fire. Every unit in the brigade get +1 attack dice when they fight into melee as defender. And then the King, which is perfect volley, they are good at shoot, +1 when you are shooting and not in melee. This favored again the distance, this favored again the shooting, and this favored obviously the defense, because if you stay away from melee and are good at shooting, you are in a proper advantage. Then I say Wellington come into an end in this aspect because it's really good to pump your defense too. The Iron Duke that I recently finished to paint off, so I show you, is really strong in defense rather than attack. Moore is more offensive. Wellington is more defensive. Why? Why? You can move him before activating the other unit, so he can move where is more needed fast at the start of the turn. And this is a secondary, but is not to underestimate this ability. Where is really strong is that any unit within 12 inches from him add +1 attack when they are in defense. So this one plus the other plus the card and maybe the card and the line ability make an English line really strong to beat in melee. The sheer number of dice. Now let me put a British in line, taking into account the 40. Okay. Now they are in the worst British formation, all in march column, just for the sake that I need to put them on the shelf in this way. We are now rolling the unit into line where the British shine. Okay? Okay, this is the best formation for the British. Assuming that we have Wellington nearby. In this case, just in this case, we will roll more dice than our opponent. Here we have our attack column of French with have charge a British line and is in his best condition. Okay, he is not taking any casualties. So the French will have 4 attack dice, rerolling 1 because they have LAN while they are in attack column. The Brits, without any upgrade, have 4 attack dice because they are a line infantry battalion, +1 because they are in line, and +1 due to Wellington. So just in this situation they roll 2 dice more than the French, and then they have the reroll of the 1 as the British. This is without cards such as defensive fire, such as the deadly or anything else, just a plain roll of the dice. What does it mean? It means that even if the French hit with all their dice, the Brits will be only shaken, withered, while if the Brits hit with all their dice in defense, they are going 2 points more than the French tenacity. So really strong, isn't it? So just for the fun, because I like to roll dice, we try. Let me see. Okay, the French eat 2 times. The Brits start eating 3 times. So they are just winning. Now the French can reroll 2 and the Brits 1. In this case, the French has 1, but obviously because I'm filming, okay, but all of you can understand that the odds are with the Brits and not with the French. This for the sake of the dice only. Oh, and let me say, before I said 6 dice in the worst situation, because if they have just 1 friendly unit without 3, is 7 dice against 5, 4 or 5, okay, or 5. And that's it. So British are strong defenders rather than attacker, because if they are in attack, they only have 5 dice against the enemy, and no bonuses from Wellington, but they may have from Moore, but this is another question. Okay, Moore will give Sir John Moore at one dice if they are the attacker. So it really depends on your style of game, but let me say that if you are going just for a casual game, you do not need more, you need Wellington if you want to play a special character. If you're going historical, and so in the peninsula when sometimes the Brits attack, more is not a bad idea. Then I say they are good at shooting, and the 95th or any unit with rifle is also a good idea for the Brits. I'm planning to put together the 2nd King German Legion on the field. I have the 95th, I have the 60 rifle detachment. They have a great advantage above any other. They shoot at 18 inches, okay? So they can reach the enemy before they can shoot back. So this is essentially the rule. Now moving to see how to deploy or move your British. This is the standard deployment that I take when I play British in attack. But let me say first that my first suggestion to how to play Brits is to turn your game into a defensive one. So if you are just a defender and you have to hold a place, defend a crossroad, take defensive stand, defensive position, and hold steady your enemy. Send out your skirmisher, your detachment, or your light company, or your downgraded rifleman. You can also downgrade light company to simulate the tactics of the light infantry in front of your main line to put havocs into the enemy and then fall back and hold your position, taunt the enemy, and then when they come into you, fall back. You can play an entire light division or brigade, or you can mix up. I mix it up for now, as I said, because I have not all my model paint yet. Anyway, let me say this is the standard deployment that I take, or most of the time I take, when I have to move forward to take position and then turn that position into a defensive one. In front, the light battalion, or again the 95th, the 6th, whatever you want, a detachment to take the first casualty from the artillery, and then back to line infantry, just in line, and a counter-strike unit. In this case I take the Fortitude Gordon Highlanders, because I always play the Scots as veteran in melee and tenacity, but you can do the same with whatever you want, or even take a cavalry into brigade to mix for a mixed brigade. One light cavalry can be added to your brigade. As a counter-strike, cavalry have a particular role because it's really important in stop the enemy movement, force him in a place that is a disadvantage for him. If you remember the last bat rep played by the EA, the cavalry move forward according to the strategy card and force the French into square, so they cannot really defend the farm, and the Brits hold them. You remember? Okay. So this is the standard formation. Move. If you have the first turn, take the double and reach your position, and then redeploy. Redeploy in a line, more than one line, ready to swap one battalion with the other when the casualties start to mount. So this is the first one. Obviously, artillery will be limbered at the moment that you start your movement phase. When you reach your objective, you have to change your line in this way. This is the standard deployment that I take when I have to defend or when I'm steady in a place and need only to resist the incoming enemy. It's hard not to crack, trust me, because I have a light battalion that closes the rank and can deliver 4 dice of fire plus the support. Artillery in the center or on one side, it really depends on the terrain and the enemy, but for the sake of simplicity, let it here. And another line battalion in front, the light infantry, the skirmisher, or whatever you want, maybe in a terrain, defendable terrain, to gain protection, or in defilade position to shoot and take the fire to be the closest one, and let your counter-strike unit slightly back, because they maybe need to go on the other side of your brigade rather than in front of him. Remember to stay in a distance that allow your frontal battalion to fall back, retreat at the back of the fresh one, and let this one ready to shoot. If you want to maximize your firepower, and sometimes you really want, deploy slightly in this way, so that this battalion here can add its support, and as I said, put your artillery on a side to help on this side and take a shot into the flank and protect this side of the deployment. And in this case you can add all the firepower you want to your initial pool of dice. And when the thing start to go hot and you have French closing to your line in this way, remember to maximize your fire into a single unit at a time, if you can, and if you manage to do it, to force him to take a Valor test as soon as possible. And if the French take a line and start a firefight with your British line, remember that if you are you are outnumbered, maybe the French can win this firefight, but in a toe-to-toe you are always in advantage due to the rules. You can reroll the one, the French cannot. French are interested to engage in melee as soon as possible and at his best condition as possible. And this led me to another important thing to keep in mind when you play braids. Let me move back this one and take into action another actor of this strategy, that is cavalry. Cavalry is very important in a static defense because its threat against a unit is fundamental to make the enemy, the opponent, to think what you want to do. In this case, it's not necessary to be so close. You can stay more than 12 inches, you charge 18 inches, so you are outside the possibility to take shoot and still threaten this unit. So the French in this case have to think, do I need to go into square and give up any possibility to attack, or I take my chance and charge in, but if I fail, I'm doomed for a charge on the flank. This will force the French, or whatever it is, to first deal with cavalry. obviously this is a perfect situation without no other factor, no other thing to do, no artillery, no other cavalry, no support. So it's just to make clear that cavalry can help a static defense and even attack. If you need to move your line and you are slow, cavalry can gain you turn, forcing the opponent into square. And when an enemy battalion is in a square, they are pretty static. They move 3 inches, cannot charge, so is an easy prey of artillery, and even if a line charge a square, is in a good, reasonable possibility to win or to keep the enemy still engaged. And when the casualties start to mount, everything may happen. If you put some casualty in a square, then you can force him easily to run, just only shooting at him. Few words about column of march. Do not ever take column of march if you have the slightly possibility to be in charge. Take casualty from the fire is not so terrible. Being in charge in a column of march will be devastating. Your unit will be routed in a sec. It's better to move in line and move slowly across the field rather than being slain on your during your march. And keep in mind that you have not to be in a hurry. If the mission says that you count the point at the end of the mission, as every mission do, it's not necessary to be the first one to reach the objective. You can even move forward, deploy your line, then start a firefight that you are probably going to win on a distance, and then when the enemy is weakened by the fire of your musket, your rifle, your artillery, maybe of a charge of one of your line, you can put into action your melee specialist, or if it's still around, still alive, your cavalry. Okay, and this is essential. So again, British are good at defense, so keep in mind, turn your battle into a defensive one. Even narrative say the same. Noseworthy and other books. This is in Italian, but there is an equivalent in English. Okay, McNabb. British always win when they may disciplined fire at their enemy. In reality, they hidden behind the crest, hidden behind obstacle to receive less casualty from fire. In the game is not always possible, especially because if you fire cannot move, so it's not completely 100% possible unless you are accepting to shoot only with your skirmisher if you want to still move. But do not underestimate this, because it's still a possibility. And this, for example, deployment allow you to shoot with skirmisher, landing support with skirmisher, landing support with skirmisher, landing support with skirmisher. So 4 dice on the move. Obviously, there are many more if you stay in your place. But if you really need to move, do not underestimate to take 1 or 2 turns with your skirmisher. And this is essentially the mainstay for the British Army. 2 more words about historical setup for your brigade, your army. I want to try as soon as possible to deploy a single brigade made all of light infantry and skirmisher, and then the rest of the brigade in line. But at the moment I don't want to talking too much about it, because I need to test if they works in play, because one side is reality and another side is a game, and maybe in the game term this doesn't work, and maybe it will work, but I need to test this first rather than make just a supposition or guessing how does this style of play will works. So I think that I say everything about British, and that's it for the video this week. The next one will cover the French and how to play French. And let me anticipate you, especially if you are used to Black Powder, that French in this game is far, far, far different than in Black Powder. They are much more harder, difficult to play than in Black Powder, and so it is. But it's good. It's another game. It's another style of play. It's interesting to find a way to play better your army. I hope that you like the video, and if it is, please subscribe or press the like button, and do not forget to press the bell to be informed when another video will be posted. That's it for the moment. Thank you for watching, and see you as soon as possible. Bye bye.